Hello, good morning. My name is Abdurrahman Malik Fajar. On this occasion, I would like to deliver my presentation, and the title is Antonio Gramsci's Hegemony Theory. This is the task for final exam for Critical Theories B course. At first, Antonio Gramsci's hegemony perspective is based on the work of Italian Marxists and as one of the members of the Italian Communist Party, Antonio Gramsci. He was imprisoned in 1926 for his political activities and spent the rest of his time in the prison and wrote his book Prison Notebooks in 1971. So let's start with why there was no communist revolution in the Western Europe. The key questions Gramsci deals with was why it was so difficult to promote revolution in Western Europe. Because Karl Marx had predicted that revolution and transition to socialism would occur first in the advanced capitalist countries. However, it was not Europe, but comparatively backward Russia that realized revolution. And what went wrong in Europe? Gramsci's answer to this question revolves around his use of the concept of hegemony. Therefore, what is the concept of hegemony? According to Gramsci, hegemony is mixture of coercion and consent. Hegemony is most frequently used to describe the most powerful state in the international system. But Gramsci's use of hegemony is related to his understanding of power, which is broader and richer than realist. Thus, in understanding how the prevailing order was maintained, Marxists concentrated almost exclusively on the coercive practices and capabilities of the state. State was seen as a means of oppressing one class by another. Based on this understanding, it was coercion that prevented the exploited society from rising up and changing the system that made them suffer. Furthermore, there are three types of hegemony. First, it is total hegemony or integral hegemony. It is characterized by the affiliation of the masses that approach totality. Society shows a level of moral and intellectual unity, and it is evident in the organic relationship between the government and the governed. These relationships are not only based on contradiction and antagonism, either socially or ethically. Integral hegemony can also be called total hegemony, because it is effectively worked through all aspects of community so as to put an end to revolution initiatives. And the second is decadent hegemony. In modern capitalist societies, bourgeois economic domination faces formidable challenge, indicating the potential of disintegration. In other words, this hegemony is not effective enough and does not succeed in stifling the obedience of the whole society. In this case, people actually see a lot of inequality within them. There is a lot of disapproval and disagreement, but not accompanied by the concrete action or rebellion. And the third is minimum hegemony. This is the third form of hegemony which fails to be instilled in society and is related with the resistance and rebellion. Hegemony literally means leadership. This term is generally used by political commentators to denote domination of power and leadership. Gramsci himself considers that the term refers to a complex meaning and of course in its political, cultural, and ideological forms to contribute the leadership by bargaining rather than being coercive. Then Gramsci's reinterpreting hegemony. Gramsci recognized that while that was true in less developed countries like Russia, it was not the case in the Western Europe. Here, the system was maintained not merely by coercion, but also through consent. Consent is created and recreated by the hegemony of the ruling elite in society. It is hegemony that makes the political, cultural, and moral values of the dominant group to become widely dispersed throughout the society, and to be accepted by subordinate groups and classes as their own. For Gramsci, dominant ideologies are institutionalized in society as they become common sense. After that, Gramsci's emphasis on civil society. What is civil society? It is the network of institutions and practices in society that enjoy some autonomy from the state, and through which groups and individuals organize, represent, and express themselves to each other to the state. These include media, educational system, church, and voluntary organizations. Therefore, Gramsci's focus on the superstructure. Superstructure should be emphasized because although the structure of society may be a reflection of social relations of production in the economic base, superstructure, political and cultural practices determines whether the society is prone to change and transform itself. And Gramsci also related to a historic block of hegemony. Historical block implies a relation between the cultural and the political, also the economic, and also requires an organic link between people and intellectual, governors and governed, leaders and who is led. Historical block reflects the way in which leading social forces within a specific national context establish a relationship over contending social forces. And the last, historic block is defined as a situation in which various classes and factions of them are related and implicitly one mode of production is dominant. In summary, the key point of hegemony, according to Gramsci, is the focus of Marxist analysis towards superstructural phenomena. Gramsci explored the process by which concern for a particular social and political system was produced through the operation of hegemony. Hegemony allows the ideas of ruling elite to become widespread. So that's all from me. Thank you and goodbye.